Schoology if you would like to access it.
I think I'm recording.
Oh,
Go ahead.
should I start?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, hey everybody. So today I'm going to present my lesson on adverb clauses, specifically focusing on concessive clauses. So we're going to look at that. And so just so you know, my context that I was envisioning was more of an academic writing context, so thinking about a course, an ESL course for international students at the university level who are kind of upper intermediate level students. So that's what I was envisioning. So to open up class, I would do some review, but since we've already done that in our class, I won't take time, but I would kind of review with my students, and we would have previously covered the different adverb clauses of time, manner, and cause, and kind of review the subordinators and introduce each one of those. But so today, we are going to cover a fourth type of adverb clause that we've not talked about before, and this is called the clause of concession. So this clause is often used to convey surprising or unexpected information. And first, before we learn more about the syntax of this specific clause, we are going to look at some examples of surprising stories and see how we can put these things into clauses of concession. So, did you know that William Eno, who I had never heard of before, I researched him, is the inventor of the stop sign, and he is called the father of traffic safety, but he never learned how to drive a car. It's pretty surprising, right? Also, did you know Alexander Graham Bell, who invented the telephone, never actually kept a telephone in his own office because he didn't want it to distract him. Also surprising. And lastly, a personal favorite of mine. Does anyone in here watch Fixer Upper? No, that's okay. All right. But these are the stars of Fixer Upper, Chip and Joanna Gaines. They're famous TV stars, but they actually do not own a television. So, some surprising information. And why are these stories surprising? These stories are surprising because they convey the opposite of what we would expect. So today we're going to talk about the clauses of concession which help us express information that's opposite of what we would expect or surprising. So you may be wondering, how do we form these clauses of concession? So when we talked about other adverb clauses, we talked about the subordinators. So the subordinators that introduce these clauses of concession, there's a couple of them, but today we're just going to focus on three. So the three we will focus on today are although, despite, and in spite of. So we're going to focus on those three today. Focusing first on although, the concessive clause that starts with the subordinator usually shares some sort of truth or a piece of truth. And then the truth that's shared in the concessive clause makes the main clause surprising. So for example, going back to our story about William Eno, we could say, although, using our subordinator, William Eno invented the stop sign. Okay, so that's the truth. He invented the stop sign. That's our concessive clause. Comma, he never learned how to drive a car. So this is our main clause, and this is surprising information, isn't it? Because what would we expect? Based on this truth and the concessive clause, William Eno invented the stop sign. What would we expect since he invented the stop sign?
He knows how to drive a car.
Right, he's a frequent driver. What'd you say?
He owns a car, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
He drives a lot. He saw the need for some new traffic signs, right? But the truth that's conveyed here makes the main clause surprising information. So he never learned how to drive a car. What? Okay, so let's do a few more examples with although. Let's read this one. So, although Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, he never kept one in his office. So here, although Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, is that the concessive clause or is that the main clause? Who says concessive? Okay, you're right, correct. This is the concessive clause, right? How do we know that this is the concessive clause?
Although.
Yeah, we see the subordinator, right? Although. Okay, so what's this one? Is it concessive or main? the main clause, right? The main clause. Does this convey, so this conveys the truth, right? And this conveys the surprising information, right? The surprise. Okay, what about this one? Would someone read this one for us?
Although Chip and Joanna Gaines are famous television stars, they do not own a television.
Correct. So which one is the concessive clause? Can someone tell us? Of these two, which one is the concessive clause?
The
First.
The first one, okay. So what's our main clause? The second one,
Second,
right?
they do not own a television.
They do not own a television. Okay, good. Why is this surprising? Why is the information in the main clause surprising? What would we expect based on the truth in the concessive clause?
TV stars, they probably have multiple TVs in their house.
Right? Maybe they watch their own show.
Right?
But it's surprising because we have this information, right? This truth makes this clause surprising, okay? So that's kind of the structure that we're going for. And then if we also look at despite and in spite of, we can use these in the subordinator position as well. But if we use these subordinators, they have to be followed by one of two things. So they either have to be followed by the fact that, so for example, despite the fact that William Eno invented the stop sign, he never learned how to drive a car, okay? Or they need to be followed by a present participle, okay? So it could also read, this same sentence could also read, despite being, so what's our present participle here? Being, despite being the inventor of the stop sign, William Eno never learned how to drive a car, okay? Would someone read this one for us here? This one, the second one.
In spite of the fact that Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, he never kept one in his office.
Okay, thank you. So between these two clauses, which one is the concessive clause?
In spite of the fact that Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So the first one, which one is the main clause?
He never wait.
He never
Yeah,
kept.
Kept one in his office.
Right, right. Why is this surprising information, he never kept one in his office? Why is that surprising? What would we expect based on the information given in the concessive clause?
He would have one.
Yeah,
So,
we would think, oh, he invented the telephone. Of course he would own one, but he never kept one in his office. So, okay, any questions so far? Questions? So, I also wanted to show you that these can come before or after the main clause. So, for example, we could say, despite being famous television stars, Chip and Joanna Gaines do not own a television. Or we could put it, we could put the concessive clause after the main clause, and it can say, Chip and Joanna Gaines do not own a television despite being famous television stars. So to put it in the position before the main clause is okay, or to put it in the position after the main clause is okay. So let's do some matching. So what I would like for you to do is, on a piece of paper, just write number, you don't have to write the sentences, just write 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And I want you to read here, are these the main clauses or are these the concessive clauses on the left?
concessive clause.
Concessive clauses, and here we have our
Main.
main clauses. So I want you to go through one by one and choose which concessive clause pairs up with which main clause based on which elements are matching and which show some sort of contrast or contradiction, okay? So let's do the first one as an example together. So although she was exhausted, now if you read through these, which one of these main clauses shows some sort of surprising information that would match the truth in this concessive clause? Yeah, Jillian. A. Okay, why A? Why did you choose A?
Because naturally we think, oh, she's gonna fall asleep right away. But actually she couldn't fall asleep.
Perfect. So this surprising information is unexpected in light of the truth in this concessive clause, right? Okay, so number your paper 1 through 4, and I want you to try matching which concessive clause matches with which main clause, okay? And you can write the letter that you think